Let's move on to the second series here, guys, and we're talking about the Phillies taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Minus 135 for the Cards on the series price there, plus 115 for the Phils. Looking at game one, we've actually got it pretty even here, minus 108 for both of these squads on the money line. The ageless Adam Wainwright taking on Zach Wheeler, the former Met there. As you list here, Nate, Waino is 40 years old. I think there's probably a lot to like about this Phillies team with that lineup as well, taking on this Cards team. I would just say ahead of time, what I would struggle with if I was a Cards fan is what my bullpen is going to do. If Waino is unable to continue pitching into deep into games in the playoffs after more than 190 innings as a 40-year-old, now you're talking about some guys who are going to tee off on some pretty weak bullpen pitching this year for the Cards. So I guess that would be my main reason for thinking that maybe this series is also mispriced. What say you?
Well, it's interesting. You have a dead even line, and then you have one team as underdogs for the series pretty considerably because it's a 3-game series. So, I mean, the Phils can come back with Aaron Nola in game 2, and it could be over if they win this first one. So I think there is some value there. We talked about in the futures episode, the Phillies having the most value as a futures bet, not necessarily the most likely team to go deep because we don't trust their bullpen that much. But I definitely think they can get through this series. St. Louis's offense has been incredible recently, but Zach Wheeler is a tough matchup for them. I mean, he has 2 scoreless starts against them this season. Really just dominated all the bad NL Central teams when he got those starts 6 times this year. And Wainwright, yeah, I mean, he's got his long postseason track record, but yeah, at this point, he's 40. He's pitched almost 200 innings. I have a hard time trusting him to just go out there and silence the Phils, who are just such a streaky team. And when you get the momentum of making a late run to make the playoffs, I think there's a certain possibility that they carry that over into this and at least get game 1. And if you get game 1, then obviously you should have a huge advantage to win one of the next 2.
So this series is actually really interesting, mainly because I don't know what the Cardinals are going to do with their starting pitching. I'm not seeing Wainwright going, so I'm not seeing anything set in stone actually at all. This is the only game where ESPN doesn't have a starter listed. Fangraphs thinks it's going to be Miles Mikolas. So obviously it probably would be Wainwright if he was healthy, but I'm seeing that he has, quote, a dead arm. That sounds bad. I don't know what they're going to do in game 3, assuming Waino can't go. I guess it's going to be Quintana or Flaherty. I'm guessing it's going to be Jordan Montgomery in game 2. That's just my best guess when I'm trying to project out this series. It seems like a lot of stuff is in flux with the Cardinals. They also, I think, so Josh hit on something that I think is very, very key here, which is basically the Cardinals only have one reliever that I trust, even remotely, which is Ryan Helsley. I don't think I'd be excited to see any of the other guys in the game if I'm a Cardinals fan. And the thing about this one is even Ryan Helsley has, I guess, a jammed finger. I'm not sure if that's going to affect him at all, but it's really, really hard to trust a team that would have 0 healthy bullpen guys that you would trust. And this is by far and away the worst bullpen by strikeout minus walk rate. So I know people are not excited about the Phillies pen, but it's like a step above this pen, honestly. And I honestly, I don't believe in the Cardinals' full season offense number. I know that the sample size is huge, obviously, when we get to this point, but I just don't believe that this is a significantly better offense than the Phillies, which is basically what the numbers are telling me. Obviously, having Bryce Harper miss a good chunk of the season plays into that for sure, and he's back now. I guess this is a long-winded way of saying I like the Phillies quite a bit. Plus 115 is a price I'm seeing out there. I think it's too high by a decent amount. I think the Phillies should probably be about even money in this series. And honestly, the projections, I think, agree with me, man. I'm looking at the Fangraphs projections. They have the Phillies as 6% to win the World Series and the Cardinals at like 2%. I mean, they like the Phillies a lot more than the Cardinals. I think this series is basically a coin flip, so plus 115 seems pretty good to me.
Yeah, I can fully back that. I feel really good about the Phils in this series. Not only would I be totally scared of that Cardinals bullpen combined with pitchers who don't necessarily go deep enough in games for them, it's kind of the inverse for the Phillies. Yes, their bullpen is still a little bit less suspect as you mentioned than the Cards, but you got guys like Aaron Nola who pitched basically. I believe he had the second most 7-inning plus pitch games this season, behind only Miami's Sandy Alcantara. So both of these guys, including Wheeler, now that he's fully back to health and form, are very capable of going 7+, 8 if they need it in the playoffs, to sort of cover up for that bad bullpen. So I think that's the advantage they specifically have.